Hello everybody, it's me, GhostCritic, or at least it is my voice you can hear. Yes, I'm not in front of the camera this week. It has been a very tiring week at work and I don't look my best and didn't want to offend anyone with my horrendous looks right now. So it is just my voice with lots of pretty pictures of the comic book covers of the books that I'll be reviewing this week. This week I'm kicking off with Batman Eternal issue number 10. Now this issue, it had a lot of stuff going on, but it actually didn't tell us a great deal. Now this was either Snyder and Tynion being incredibly clever or incredibly lazy, and I'm torn over which way I fall right now. The title begins 5 years earlier. Yes, we're having a flashback, and it is a kind of brief glimpse at the Falcone Catwoman clash that we've all been hearing about, and this grudge that Falcone has against her. And it's such a brief glimpse that the enormity and the obsession that Falcone has over Catwoman doesn't seem to be that poignant, especially just the information that we're given in these brief pages where all she seems to have done is kind of like beaten up a few of Falcone's henchmen, stole a cat statue and put a few scratches on his face. Okay, it's the big bad Falcone, but really, do you then spend 5 years plotting your revenge against one person because of that? There must be more to it, but we don't find out it here. And so we come now to the present day. Falcone has Catwoman tied up, and it is this kind of trite, cliched James Bond villain-esque scene where instead of just offing your enemy, the villain has to kind of over-explain and have this huge soliloquy on why he's taking his revenge. And of course, in all this time, what is happening in the background? We've got Professor Pig and his farmhands breaking into kind of Falcone Towers for Professor Pig to thus take revenge on Falcone, which in a way kind of lengthens Catwoman's reprieve on being killed. And eventually, of course, Batman comes crashing through the skylight, as he always does. Does this guy not know how to enter a room dramatically other than breaking through skylights? There is a couple of interesting points. I'll give it to you here. You have a little kind of snippet in the kind of flashback scene where we realise that Catwoman and the Penguin have been working quite closely together in making Gotham, at least its criminal element, what it is at that time. Also, Falcone makes a little slip while interrogating and getting ready to off the Catwoman. And of course, what we thought of from the beginning is that Falcone is not the big bad behind Batman Eternal. And in fact, there's a bigger threat. And now we're going to have countless suggestions of who this may be. Of course, we see a shadowed figure in our final panel looking on just as we get this kind of revelation or reveal that, you know, Falcone is only coming back to Gotham to take advantage of this bigger threat that is going on. Just in case you'd forgotten about them, yes, we get a little bit of Julia Pennyworth with another kind of cliched, oh, I've been mortally wounded, but I must go on. Oh, I can't, I'm actually mortally wounded. There seems to be a little bit of kind of maybe romance going on between Bard and Vale. They do seem to be connecting very much in these past few issues, and there seems to be some kind of relationship brewing there. And of course, let's not forget, Stephanie Brown is still on the run from her villainous father, the Clue Master, and she's sleeping rough, if you want to call it rough, in a library. Like I said, it just seemed a little bit of a lazy issue. But like I said, maybe it's just Snyder and Tynion kind of stretching this weekly, year-long series out. I liked it, but it wasn't fantastic. Moving on to an Image title. It's issue 3 of Shutter. And I just don't know what is going on with this title. What is it with it? The first issue started out so promising. It had a clean, classical, kind of crisp start, and I was excited for where this title was going. And then with last issue, issue 2, and this issue 3, it just seems to me that Keatinge and Del Duca decided to just throw their imagination at the wall, everything that was in their heads, and let's see what sticks. Now, I'm not saying there aren't some cool concepts in these last 2 issues, but, and I swear I said this last time, do we really need them all crammed into one issue? Another problem with this particular issue, issue 3, is that we have extra artists on here. Now, I don't know whether this is because Del Duca can't keep up with the monthly solicits, so they are kind of drawing in help from other artists, but the styles are dramatically different, and while I guess they're going for this kind of fantastical kind of environment, and therefore these differing styles are meant to fit in here, but it just is too jarring. From the kind of tiny panels from the first 2 pages to huge big 2-page spreads, it just all again looks so chaotic and unorganised. Story-wise, we kind of go a little bit just before the bomb came careering to the window, where our heroine, Kate Christopher, is sitting with her friend Elaine. We find out who shot that bomb and kind of why. And then, of course, we get the repercussions and the revelations after it. The big reveal is, though, why anyone would have thought this anyway, and why it needed to be particularly there, I'm not entirely sure. But Elaine, her best girl pal, was actually a man. It was a childhood boy best friend that she saved from the bully at the time, and clearly as their relationship and friendship has grown, Alan decided he wanted to be a woman and had a sex change, which is clearly what happens in this future world. Fortunately, by kind of halfway through, once we settle down a little, the book does pick up. Not least where we see this fantastic page shot of like an anthropomorphic cat astride a triceratops. Oh, the dinosaur with the horns and the big hood. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen it. The page looks wicked. And then we have Kate, who then takes this kind of Harry Potter-esque train journey through the countryside to her home, the home where she lived with her father. And the imagination in the book is exciting. It is visually stunning, and of course, when she gets off the train, who is there to meet her but a skeleton butler? What else would you be expecting from this book? And it seems that in the next issue we are going to have a family gathering of sorts, which is very interesting because in previous issues we've had scenes of a young Kay asking for kind of younger brothers and sisters, siblings, but her father had always kind of made excuses as to why she couldn't have another brother or sister. I'm expecting her brothers and sisters to, let's say, not be of the norm. Like I said, I don't know what to make of this book. Visually, it's all over the place. Conceptually, it's all over the place. The book is all over the place. But there's just something about it, and as regular viewers and listeners will know, I'm quite the stubborn bastard, and I will probably keep with this book just to see if it actually does go anywhere. Shutter, issue 3. On to Batman Detective Comics, issue 32, and this is another issue where I don't really actually have a lot to say about it. There's no denying this book looks beautiful. Buccella's art on this has very much changed the tone of this book, the flow of it, the colouring, the panel layout. It is very, very nice to look at. And while the story is much better than what previous writers have done to this, it's still a very kind of pedestrian Batman kind of detective story. But to be honest, the standout thing for me this issue, I still can't get over it. But apparently in our new DC 52, let's see, Harvey Bullock is a cat lover. And I don't mean of the Selina Kyle variety. He has a lot of cats. It just doesn't look quite right. If anyone's seen that kind of 2-page panels with Bullock at home in his apartment surrounded by cats, it just erased quite a smile on my face. Like I said, the story, there's not really much to say. Batman does a bit of detecting. He has a fight with a giant squid and ends up at the end surrounded by cops. No, not cops. Kind of mob bosses and hoodlums alike. It's Batman Detective Comics. It's not like they'll ever drop it. It's kind of a flagship Batman title. I'm buying this purely for the art right now. Penultimate book this week was Astro City, issue 13. And this was a lovely story because it is all about love at the end of the day. We have Kurt Busiek creating this kind of disparate storylines that don't seem to have many connections. It covers both kind of like the superheroes and villains of Astro City right down to kind of like the normal Joes working as bank clerks going about their business. And like I said, they all seem to be somewhat unconnected. And that is until we get the Dancing Master. He makes his kind of very stylized appearance. The Dancing Master, as soon as I saw his first appearance here, I immediately thought this is Busiek's version of Sandman. But instead of, you know, the Sandman character who like controls dreams, the Dancing Master basically makes people fall in love. He makes people happy, which doesn't seem to be that bad a thing. Only what happens when there's too much love around? Chaos ensues. It is a beautiful, again, another beautiful looking book. There are some kind of like contrasting art styles here from the regular story of all the people going around their daily lives in Astro City to the very highly stylized prose art pages that all centre around the dancing master. But it all kind of works, it all kind of flows together, and it's just a kind of, it's Busiek's look on love, and where it turns up in the most unlikely places, from a bank robber falling in love with a bank clerk, from two guys who never get to see each other because of their jobs and their strange hours, and when one of them makes a breakthrough, all they want to do is, you know, tell their partner, and there's a lovely scene at the end where they decide, you know, to make more time for themselves. And, you know, you get this feeling that as the dancing master leaves, there's still kind of an element of his love power working its way through Astro City. Just a delightful book to read, with a kind of sad ending about a poor robot dog stuck on another planet, all on its own, just wanting some music back. Yes, Astro City, always a joy to read these done-in-one storylines. Always look forward to another issue by Busiek, Anderson and Ross. And that leaves me with my final book. It's from Image. It's a one-shot. It's That's Because You're a Robot. Yes, Quantic and Kane create this new neon punk retro future world. It's kind of credibility lying firmly in the Silver Age, and then it just plasters it all in this kind of psychedelic acid trip. It's right up my alley. I loved this book. Quantic and Kane, whether they're doing it deliberately or not, and I'm sure there is an element of deliberateness here, but you get the feel, and it's such a homage to so many genres, and not just of the comic book world, but of the TV world and the movie world, because as I'm reading this, I pick up like TV cop shows, horror movies, Lethal Weapon, Independence Day. There's even like a kind of Benjamin Button type character here. It's like buddy movies and the kind of camp 60s Batman, all wrapped up in this kind of day glow, colourful, bright world. And it's just a fun comic. It rarely makes sense, but that's the beauty of it. As I said on Wednesday when I showed you what I picked up, the premise of this book is we have two cops, they're buddies. One's called Jeff and one's called Matt, but they have a problem. One of them is a robot, but they don't know which one. So as the title, you can guess from the title that, you know, there's this kind of argument between them two, but in such a humorous way, and the arguments always end on the line, "That's because you're a robot." It becomes this kind of cliche catchphrase, but it is funny to hear. There's just so much fun stuff in here, and it's strange that this is a one-shot, and I'm sure these guys are maybe thinking of maybe at least another issue or maybe a mini-series later on down the line if enough of us say, this is good stuff, this is what I want to see on my comic book shelves, and I hope you're of the same opinion as me. Gosh, what else can I say about this just to make you go out and buy it if you already haven't? Because it is just such fun stuff. Hostage scenes go wrong. These guys get given a case. They lose the case. They lose their jobs. They lose their headquarters. Their only kind of suspect or kind of person who can tell us that what the hell's going on in this dies. It's just a riot from the first page to the end page. Bright, colourful, exciting. Shaky Kane kind of reminds me, but in like a scrappier version of Brandon Graham, in the sense that he kind of builds these worlds, these environments, and you really have to kind of look what's going on, not just right in front of your face, not just the characters who are actually talking to you, but what's going on in the background, the kind of attention to detail. Although, like I said, Shaky Kane has got a rougher, scrappier edge to his work, but nonetheless, there are some fun, humorous details going on in the background. So if you do pick up this book, make sure you check every inch of panels in the book. And that's this week's comics. Thank you for listening to me this week. Hopefully next week I'll be feeling a lot better and you'll see me back in front of the camera. Until next week, if this is your first time here, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more of my videos. Give it a big thumbs up and put some comments down in the box below. Let me know what you thought of the books that I picked up this week, if you did as well. Did you agree with my opinions? Tell me if you went and picked up Quantic and Kane's book, That's Because You're a Robot. Get the message out there that we want this as at least a mini-series, if not an ongoing. Have a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed your books this week. Until next Friday, goodbye.